Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your friendly voice from the International Anti-Corruption Academy, funded by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. I'm the Malaysian who has been certified by the International Anti-Corruption Academy as an anti-corruption and compliance specialist. Okay, my views and opinions are totally on my own, based on my readings, on literature review of the know-how, knowledge provided by the lecturers at the United Nations for a period of 2 years, whereby I completed my Masters in Anti-Corruption Studies. Okay. Besides that, during this sharing of knowledge, sharing of intellectual discourse, and it's most suited for academicians, intellectuals, and people in the anti-corruption industry, both in the public sector, private sector, as well as the civil societies, including NGOs and peer groups and pressure groups, Okay. My talk today, as usual, is to invite foreign direct investors into the Malaysian economy, whereby you can provide jobs, opportunities, and so forth to the Malaysian public, so that they are given the opportunity to engage in their professional fields. As the saying in IACA, that is the International Anti-Corruption Academy, empowering professionals, whereby we, being qualified and certified by the United Nations and IACA, in collaboration with IACA, is providing this service for free, and I am doing it as part of a Caring for Society program. Recently, PMX has already welcomed Elon Musk of Tesla, of Tarex and SpaceX. A very good and bold initiative, in fact, for the Malaysian public, for the educated Malaysian public, for the professionals, as engineers, the accountants, and so forth. Besides that, Richard Lee from Hong Kong and his board of governors are also here, will be here, in fact. India is also interested in coming to Malaysia to invest, as well as China and Geely, one of the biggest car makers in the world, as well as the recent remark that the Philippines President Marcos Jr. will also be making a trip to Malaysia for investment. It is indeed one of the extraordinary, the bold moves by PMX to make the lives of Malaysians a better one, bring up the standard of living, bring up the whole livelihood of Malaysians, as well as eradicate poverty. Absolute poverty is not good for anybody, for any country. However, as in all countries, corruption is there to stay. You can't eradicate corruption totally. And in Malaysia, As said by Johnston, Michael, in 2005, Malaysia's syndrome of corruption is known as oligarchs and clans. Okay? For me to explain in detail every bit of the book, I think it's quite impossible because the book consists about 180 pages, okay, whereby Johnston has described developed countries, first world countries such as US, UK, Norway as countries having the syndrome of influence market. Okay, influence market. Besides that, Holland is also there. France is also there. All the advanced countries, all the developed countries. The syndrome of corruption in these countries is influence market, including Germany, the UK, and so forth. And the second syndrome of corruption refers to countries such as Zambia, South Korea, whereby he describes it as a syndrome of elite cartels, a group of politicians and business sector people, they control the economy, okay, of these countries known as elite cartels. Whereas in the third group, whereby Malaysia is classified together with Thailand, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Turkey, we are all classified under the category of oligarchs and clans. Malaysia as well, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I'm very interested in discussing about this book, Syndromes of Corruption, written by Michael Johnston, published in 2005. Johnston is a United Nations lecturer. Okay, and most of my lecturers, we do our assignments, we do our peer review, we do our discussions actively based on this book. Most of the lecturers have high regards of this book, but not all lecturers are in tune, in line, in sync with Michael Johnston, but most of them are. Michael Johnston. So this book, I've read it over and over again, yet I'm 65 and age is against me, obviously. My memory is not at its best because I read this book about 10 years back when I was doing my Masters in Anti-Corruption Studies in the year 2013 and 14. Okay, again, I welcome all these foreign direct investors to Malaysia to invest, and Mr. Elon Musk has made the right decision to invest in the state of Selangor, in the place called Cyberjaya. Cyberjaya is the IT capital of Malaysia. Cyberjaya is where there's a multiracial, multicultural, multi-ethnic, it's a cosmopolitan society. Where you get the best brains, when you get the best of all the public institutions, the best of universities, they are all located in the state of Selangor, whereby I'm sure their resources, their know-how, their knowledge, their experience can be tapped by Mr. Elon Musk in his quest for the better yielding or better paying dividends, bonus for the stock, whereby Americans, I believe, have invested heavily into his companies, Starlink, SpaceX, and Tesla. And of course, he has a stockholder-centric businessman, he has to perform, or else he won't be one of the richest businessmen in the States. However, I wish to remind Malaysians and advise Malaysians to be cautious about these foreign direct investments. I believe most of them are genuine, but of course there are a few rotten apples, there are a few wayward characters, there are a few unscrupulous, greedy foreign direct investors. That goes without saying. Okay? In the year 2000, giant conglomerates, companies, corporations such as Enron, WorldCom, as well as Arthur Andersen collapsed. Why? Because there's corruption happening in all those corporations. The big five, including Arthur Andersen, KPMG, as well as PricewaterhouseCoopers, has been reduced among the accounting firms, global accounting firms, from the big five to the big four, whereby Arthur Andersen has been eliminated from the big five because of creative accounting. There's conflict of interest, of course. They being the accountants, they are also the auditors. Accountants being paid less than auditors, all from the same company. Of course, that is not ethical. That's not the best practice. It's not good governance. So they have to fall, like it or not. And the big five made the right decision to let Arthur Andersen go. Okay, that's in 2000. 2010, what happened? The collapse of the Lehman Brothers. Hedge funds, fund managers of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, as well as the subprime crisis in US, whereby houses were overvalued. Money was lent out like nobody's business. Then again, there was a failure in the corporate sector, whereby it was hit bad and Lehman Brothers went kaput. The subprime crisis also, whereby mortgages, bank loans were taken enormously, but its value is not that. Money was flowing out of the banking system of the what do you call it, fund managers, portfolio managers, hedge funds, and that's not good. And hopefully Malaysians are aware of all this. In Malaysia, of course, at the present era of global warming, fund managers, hedge fund managers, they will want to park their funds in Malaysia because we adhere to global standards. PMX has taken the initiative with its cabinet, of course, to bring down global warming, and it's a welcome signal to the foreign direct investors. However, this green energy, this clean energy whereby hydro is used and coal, charcoal and all that is avoided because these are the pollutants bringing in carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and polluting the air, the environment. Hydro is a good source of energy whereby Malaysia is committed. Malaysia has been in the forefront, in the running to promote this hydro energy. hydropower, okay, which is clean. Okay. However, question posed by Friedrich Galtung, why is corruption so difficult to curb? And why is integrity so difficult to promote? I leave that question to you guys. You guys are all educated, all learned, and I believe you guys have the answer. Partly it's because of greed. Partly it's because of the standard of living, cost of living, which is becoming higher and higher by the day. Okay? And I have to give a warning on these foreign direct investments again, as I read out a paraphrase from this book, Michael Johnson. What he has to say about foreign direct investments or foreign investments. He has to say this, okay? Where investors are likely to insist on short-term gains rather than planning for the long haul, or will stay out of a country together. The book Symptoms of Corruption, page 123. Before that, it's type the words Johnston, 2005, page 122. And I read it again. Investors, ladies and gentlemen, bear in mind the key word here is investors, are likely to insist on short-term gains rather than planning for the long haul, or will stay out of a country altogether. Okay, what has he got to say about this? Of course, they are the unscrupulous, greedy investors. A minor lot in any country there will be, especially in the share market. Hot money, as they call it, they artificially invest to bring up the market to a very high price, a very unrealistic price, whereby fundamentals of certain companies, the significance of certain companies are just not there. But these unscrupulous investors, they bring up the price to such a high level, and when Malaysians, especially the Malaysian investors who do not do due diligence, who do not do vetting on all these companies, it might be a 2 ringgit company, but due to the high volume and the rise in the price, some Malaysians, especially the greedy, the unscrupulous investors who get caught in this stock market, and then when the price goes up sky high, it rockets up like nobody's business, foreign investors, they dump all the shares. Dumping. And these Malaysians are caught unaware, are caught with their pants down. Okay? Although these fund managers, these hedge funds are here, but if they make up factories, plants, like in Selangor, like in Penang, it's most welcome. They are most welcome because they have genuinely invested. They have sincerely done their part to bring up the to bring up the standard of living. However, if they pump in money into the stock market, be extra careful, be extra cautious, as this might be hot money in the sense that they are artificially ballooning up the stock market to spice it up, to flavor it up, and once they hit the target, off they go. And we are caught in the dark, we are caught in the lurch, unaware, with our pants down, of course. Okay? That's a piece of advice coming from me as an anti-corruption expert and compliance specialist about getting caught with your pants down. However, genuine investors are, of course, most welcome to invest in a country like Malaysia, whereby we have all the resources. Infrastructure in Selangor is the best. The roads are among the best in Southeast Asia. The banking system, and according to KPMG as well as PricewaterhouseCoopers, we are among the leading countries which protect the interests of shareholders as well as minor shareholders. But we can only do so much. When it's time to leave, foreign funds just exceed the stock market. Okay, not all of them, please bear in mind. There might be one or two, of these scoundrels, as happened in the local stock market involving Transmile Air. It ballooned up to above 20 ringgit per share, $20,000 ringgit per lot. And one fine day, after a lot of manipulation and many maneuvering of these capitalists, this rich businessmen, the affluent strata of society, that company went bankrupt. Who suffers? The small time players, whereby the big time players, they have already made their money. They don't care about the other players. They only care about themselves. Very selfish indeed. Very opportunistic indeed. Okay, and word of advice again, just be extra careful. And I said just now, exercise due diligence, exercise vetting, and also apply the principles of corruption risk assessment as advocated by Professor Jean-Paul Louiseau of the University of Sorbonne, France. Corruption risk assessment. Don't go into very risky business ventures, especially in the stock market. Okay? Because when everybody is laughing, rejoicing, cheering up, jovial, celebrating, after they made the money, as an individual investor, you go in expecting to laugh, to be jovial, to celebrate, to be cheerful. But obviously, the reverse happens. When you laugh together. When you cry alone. Okay? Jean-Paul Louiseau says, as part of his corruption risk assessment lecture, you have to protect your finances. You have to protect your reputation. Very important. Years and years and years to build, but it takes only 1 second to destroy your reputation. Okay? The principle, terminate, reduce, accept, and pass over. Terminate, what does that refer to in the corruption risk management? of Malaysian professionals. Terminate. Don't do business with people from countries known for their bad deeds, such as Somalia, such as North Korea, such as Myanmar. These are all part of the junta. Military rule. The military decides. And there's no professional in these countries advising the government. It's all military. Okay? So never ever deal. If there's an investor coming from Myanmar, an investor coming from North Korea, an investor coming from Somalia, be extra careful. Okay? Second principle is reduce. That's the best. There's always risks in this investments and all that. Okay, if that risks are catastrophic, major, bring it down to minor. And if it's minor, bring it down even to insignificant. It's not significant. That's the best approach. Bring down the level of corruption, bring down the level of bribery, bring down the level of white-collar crime, including embezzlement, cheating, and so forth for the company, for the corporation. Bring it down. You reduce it. That's the second principle. Third principle is accept. Accept is something very minor, Let's say you go to a shop to have breakfast, which costs, let's say, about 10 ringgit, and one of your suppliers, one of the company representatives where you deal with, pay for your breakfast a sum of 10 ringgit. You can't really eradicate that. You can't really eliminate it, because after paying for your breakfast, that supplier leaves. The sales representative leaves. What are you supposed to do? So some of these corruption issues are too trivial, too minor to really take pains. Okay, you have to accept it. It's part and parcel of life. And the last principle is pass on. This refers to mainly insurance. Okay, and this is not practical. No insurance wants to insure your corruption risk. It's next impossible. Okay, that's my session for today, and I wish you guys good luck and all the best. Take care, have a nice day, and be good.